Billions of people around the world will willingly wreck their sleep schedules, ignore their families, and drain their bank accounts for a single moment. Just a ball crossing a white line. This obsession dictates our moods, halts national economies, and pushes ordinary people to the brink of emotional collapse. We surrender our productivity and peace of mind to a game. But that intense, irrational devotion is exactly what makes you so valuable. You are a fan experiencing an athletic spectacle. To the people at the top, however, your passion is simply the raw material being harvested, packaged, and sold to the highest bidder. The architects of this extraction sit behind the glass walls of FIFA headquarters in Switzerland. They are the politicians and shadow brokers who recognized early on that controlling the world's favorite sport meant controlling the world. When you tune in to celebrate human achievement, you are unknowingly plugging yourself into a highly sophisticated geopolitical machine designed to extract influence and wealth directly from your emotions. To see exactly how they weaponized this sport, we have to look back to 1978. As Argentina hosted the World Cup, the glow of the international spotlight completely bathed the pitch. Behind that spotlight was Jorge Rafael Videla, a military dictator who had violently overthrown the democratically elected government 2 years prior. Videla needed to legitimize his regime and distract from ongoing atrocities. He used the tournament to flood the nation with positive international press, a tactic known as sports washing. FIFA's leadership saw how effectively the game could rewrite a national identity. They realized their control over the World Cup granted them a unique authority over sovereign governments, the power to instantly certify a regime's legitimacy to 4 billion viewers. The 1978 tournament proved a dark concept. The overwhelming joy of football was loud enough to completely drown out the reality of a brutal, authoritarian regime. By 1998, a man named Sepp Blatter took control of this machine. He recognized the blueprint laid out decades earlier and began scaling FIFA to astronomical heights. Under his watch, the organization spread its influence into every corner of the globe. They licensed universally played video games, locked down billion-dollar broadcast rights, and accrued more member nations than the United Nations. FIFA became completely synonymous with football itself. But while fans focused on the pitch, Blatter's inner circle built a personal money-making engine. Executives were secretly pocketing millions in bribes, trading kickbacks, and quietly auctioning off the rights to host future tournaments. Because the product they sold was universally loved, the public completely ignored the warning signs. The deep emotional connection we have with the game provided the perfect cover for its leaders to operate an untouchable criminal enterprise in broad daylight. This operation finally broke into the open in 2010. This data map highlights the competing bids for the 2022 World Cup. Against highly prepared nations like the US and Japan, FIFA selected Qatar, a country with zero football infrastructure and summer temperatures exceeding 115 degrees Fahrenheit. The climate alone made it physically impossible to play in the summer. To force this through, FIFA broke a nearly 100-year tradition, completely upending the global sports calendar to move the tournament into the winter months. The rationale behind this decision had nothing to do with sports. Behind closed doors, the French government, during an economic downturn, brokered a deal. They pressured key voting members, including former UEFA president Michel Platini, to support Qatar in exchange for Qatari officials buying up major French assets like the Paris Saint-Germain football club. The direct financial incentives were equally staggering. Just weeks before the vote, the Qatari state-owned media network Al Jazeera secretly offered FIFA a $400 million broadcast contract, complete with a massive $100 million bonus contingent entirely on Qatar winning the bid. The 2022 decision proved that FIFA was explicitly auctioning international influence and prestige to the highest bidder, entirely discarding any pretense of sporting merit. Securing the tournament was only the first step. Qatar now had to build an entire football infrastructure out of the sand. To meet the deadline, they launched a massive $220 billion construction project. To find the labor, they imported millions of migrant workers. Once these workers arrived, their passports were confiscated. They were forced into grueling conditions for little to no pay. By the time the stadiums were finished, an estimated 6,500 workers had died. While physical lives were spent building the arenas, the viewers at home faced a different kind of extraction. Massive betting conglomerates weaponized the tournament, aggressively marketing to fans and draining the wealth and mental health of the very people supporting the event. The harsh reality of modern football is that the joy we feel watching a perfectly executed goal is deeply entangled with systemic forced labor, predatory gambling addiction, and mass casualties. The sheer scale of this corruption eventually triggered an international response. In May 2015, the U.S. Department of Justice unsealed a 164-page indictment detailing decades of bribery, fraud, and money laundering. Swiss police raided headquarters, arresting top executives. Sepp Blatter was forced to resign. This brought crucial context to the work of independent investigators like Michael Garcia, whose original 2014 report carried enough evidence to dismantle the organization's leadership until FIFA officials doctored the summary to clear themselves of wrongdoing. But the takedown was mostly an illusion. Despite the massive public exposure, nearly all the perpetrators avoided serious jail time. They paid back a fraction of their ill-gotten wealth in fines. FIFA maintained its absolute monopoly over the sport, and the blood-soaked Qatar tournament went ahead exactly as planned, which leaves us with a deeply uncomfortable question. We now know exactly what it costs to produce this spectacle. We know the exact human and financial toll required to build the arena. So how do we justify tuning in? As long as we hit play, as long as we cheer for the final score while ignoring the syndicate operating in the shadows, the cycle will continue. Our undivided attention guarantees that this remains the most ruthless, untouchable business in the world.